What? Well, good evening and welcome back to another edition of the Brothers-In-Law. Thank you for joining us tonight. Mike, good seeing you again, my brother.
Good to be back. Good to be back. Got a good show lined up.
Yeah. Talking about the thin blue line and what it really means to law enforcement, and particularly what it means to Mike and I. So we have a pretty good conversation. Welcome, Goat. Welcome, Zach, and everybody else who's on YouTube watching. Thank y'all for joining us again. Before we get in tonight's topic, go ahead and hit that like button and share it out. Hey, Stacy. Uh, and we hope to get y'all's insight on it too. Now, I mean, it's very controversial. Mike will shine a little bit of light on that, why it's so controversial. But you know, just like anything else, people can turn it into what they want.
Yeah,
So
pretty much. I got some brighter lights, Zach. I see you. Believe it or not, I don't even have my little ring light thing on right now. I got a different camera. I'm trying out. So that light is the camera that's got it on there. So
yeah,
I think I did. I'm gonna have to do away with my ring light now. I may not have a use for it anymore.
It is bright, but that's all right. So thank y'all again for joining us, and we'll go ahead and get into this topic: the thin blue line flag, and why is it so controversial? Mike, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people that thin blue line. One of the things that they say is it was the timing of when it came out with Black Lives Matter that made it controversial. Black Lives Matter's supporters felt that it was some kind of response to Black Lives Matter when that came out.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, when it came out, it did come out about that time. And what could it have been in part of response to that? I don't know. I really don't know. It could have been, but let me go and explain to you why it could have been in response to that. You know what I'm saying? As we know, Corey, you and I know, the thin blue line has been around for a long time. It has been a representation of police since before I became a police officer. Let me just give you a quick little bit of history. Back in the 1911, it was used by the U.S. Army at that time, who wore blue uniforms. Police started using the thin blue line in the 1950s. First started with the LAPD, Chief William Parker at that time. It was a symbol that represented police and with military bearing and how it protected the citizens from chaos and harm. And then by the 1970s, police departments all over the country adopted the thin blue line symbol, and it was represented the same way. If you realize, the color blue has been associated with police for a long time, even things like the television industry capitalized on it. Like, if you notice, some television shows back in the day, like NYPD Blue or Hill Street Blues, Blue Bloods, Rookie Blue, those television shows, that's all in reference to the thin blue line. There's books written on the thin blue line and so forth. So, but at that time, the thin blue line was basically a blue line on a flag with a black background, right? So back in 2014, a company called Thin Blue Line USA, they redesigned the American flag and they just put the blue line on the American flag, right? And the intention was to raise funds for fallen soldiers, honor those that are serving or have served in law enforcement, both sworn and non-sworn for that matter. So the Thin Blue Line has been around for a long time and has been associated with police, a representation of police for a very long time. You know, now I
Yeah.
can understand why some folks would say it's in response to Black Lives Matter. Now I'm gonna give you my view. When Black Lives Matter and that whole thing started and kicked off, I'd been a police officer probably for about what year did Black Lives Matter start? Was it 2014 or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was around the
Somewhere around there.
Michael Brown and Freddie Gray.
Yeah,
Somewhere around that time period
somewhere around.
there.
Now I had been a police officer for 20 plus years at that time, right? Um, and I had gotten as a black man, and a police officer at that time. It was rough because I felt that there was police were just being villainized, for lack of better words. At
Yeah.
that time, I mean, the Black
Yep.
Lives Matter movement, they would say stuff like, we support police, but we just don't support the bad police.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's not how it was coming across. It was definitely coming across as police as a whole. There were definitely several elements in the Black Lives Matter movement that basically demonized police, especially young folks. I saw more of a difference in young folks where they just hated police. And as a police officer, you felt that hate. You felt all of that. You see what I'm saying? But I was a black guy. I was a police officer. I was never ashamed of being a police officer. You know what I'm saying? And I was always proud of what I did and the work that I did and the work that my partners did. My police partners did, if you will.
Hmm.
So it was a tough time for police at that time as well. As well as it was for some black folks, right? Um, but I just felt that police at that time just were really demonized and had no support at all. So when that flag came out, I had that flag, a blue line flag. I have that on my vehicle right now, right? But it really is nothing more than a support for the people that I work with. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It was support for police officers all over the country. That's all it was. It was never a racist thing. Look, Corey, you and I are both black, so we certainly ain't gonna have something that we gonna fly as a racist flag or something like that. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So it was that's all it was. And I think people, because it came out at the time that Black Lives Matter was out, right? I think people just thought that it was a racist thing and some kind of response to Black Lives Matter, that police don't support black people. You know what I'm saying? Or we are out to hunt black people down. You was hearing all kind of stuff, back then.
And
Um,
that hurts.
that
Uh,
does hurt because
that,
at that time I was an officer for 20 plus years. I'd never seen any police brutality. You see what I'm saying? So I knew that most of the time, cops are doing what they supposed to do. Not only are they not doing what are they doing what they supposed to do, but they're doing it under tremendous circumstances, like stressful circumstances.
oh
During
yeah.
all that time, cops still had to go out and arrest people. Cops still had to go out and fight people. Cops still had to do all those things where they got to get their hands dirty and be in an unsafe environment in spite of all that lack of support. Now, I
Mhm.
understand Black Lives Matter. They'll say that they support police, right? Good police, but that's just not how it came out. And that's just not the message, I think, that was coming out in the media at that time, where it was just all about. I felt more racism or prejudice, if you will, when I had that uniform on from black
Yeah.
folk than I ever had
Yeah.
in my whole life.
Oh yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh
Now,
yeah.
don't get me wrong. I understand what was going on in the country at that time. And of course, we love our black folks, right, Corey? I mean,
Yeah.
of course, that's kind of silly. But as a police officer, police ain't going nowhere. You need police. You need to call police when you need to call them, and they need to come handle your dirty work regardless. And
Right.
police officers still had to do their jobs back then
Right.
and now. Whether you liked them or not, they still had to go out and do what they had to do, in spite of everything that was going on. So,
Yeah.
I'm definitely a supporter of police. I've always been a supporter of police, obviously. I was one. You know what I'm saying? I never felt ashamed to be a police officer. I never allowed somebody else to make me feel ashamed of being a police officer. There were
Oh no.
times where some black folks wanted me to hide the fact that I was a police officer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That wasn't
And
gonna happen.
I refuse to do that. Another thing, and I'm glad you mentioned symbolism. Everything has a symbolism to it, and you can take the um, rebel flag, Confederate flag. You know, growing up, I always thought, yeah, straight racist every time I saw it, right? But it wasn't until I joined the military, right, and I started hanging with everybody. I mean, I call myself an international person. If you wanted to go out and have fun and get some beers, I was your guy to hang with. Right? I didn't care what. I never thought I'd see the day I was in a country bar, listening to country music. But I was there. Never thought I'd see myself going snow skiing in Lake Tahoe. I was there, right? So when you started getting to know people and know, okay, they have lineage too. They have a certain connection to it. Are these people I'm associated with racist? No, they're not. They just have history with that flag because somebody in their family years ago fought in the revolution and they're proud of it. And they should be. Just like I'm proud of our ancestors who went and fought for us. I'm proud of them. Same thing for me with the thin blue line flag. I'm proud to have served my state as a police officer. And I know, just like you, we both were reasonable officers. We had our moral compasses intact. Now we know there's bad apples in every profession known to man. There's bad apples, but just because somebody has that flag does not make them, a racist. It doesn't make seem that they're just out to hunt down black folks. Now I wrote something down, and I got it from the National Police Association, and I thought it was pretty interesting. It said the blue line represents the men and women of law enforcement who stand in the gap between the lawlessness and the innocent. So that blue line represents the police, and we are, or they are, your last line of defense before you go into total anarchy, right? If you don't have law enforcement, you don't have civility. So who's coming to who's rescue when you need them, right? So for me, it's about being that protector, being that one to come running into the fire. Even today, I still have to find myself. I see something happen, I have to pull myself back because I know I'm not in law enforcement anymore. But that's just who I am. I stand with this, just like I stand with the American flag. If my nation calls me to duty again, I'm suiting back up and grabbing my seat bag, and I'm going back out. Right, but that's just who I am. I stand for something. Mike, you stand for something. Uh, People who wear this uniform, this blue uniform every day, stand for something. Yes, we know there's bad apples. We're not saying they're not. We're talking about the good folks, and it's also a constant reminder: the black actually represents those who have lost their lives, and so we still honor them because they're doing what the majority of the population won't do, and that's put your life on the line for somebody who you don't even know. What say you, Mike?
Yeah, I agree. Now, when you talk about the Confederate flag, I don't necessarily know if we disagree on it necessarily, but I still say the Confederate flag, although it may be a representation of other things, you see what I'm saying? It is also a representation of oppression for black people. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it
Um,
depends on who's standing behind that symbol. If I took this flag and then tomorrow I came out as uh, a black racist
mhm.
hating everybody, and then now you're gonna equate this flag to that, but that's not what it really meant to everybody. It means something different. You always can twist that meaning, and that's not what it really means.
Hey,
That's
Joe,
not what
thanks for joining us.
that's not what it stands for.
I hear
Yeah,
you.
I know there are people who stand behind the Confederate flag are racist, but is everyone that does racist? No, because I met those people.
I hear you.
I've
I
gone
hear what you're
I've
saying.
gone
I hear
out
what
with
you're
those
saying.
people.
Another thing though, um, somebody brought up that uh I know we kind of entered the Confederate flag a little bit, but let's refocus back on the blue line flag. Now,
Yeah,
it was brought up and made some comments that some people, some of our viewers might see that flag as offensive, no matter what we say, right? No matter what we try to explain what the blue line flag is, you're still going to have people that are going to disagree because they want to
yeah,
say that police shouldn't support police. So police should go after all bad police, and they shouldn't be proud of anything they do as long as they got bad police officers on the force somewhere. So
yeah.
there are people who are going to think like that. You see what I'm
Oh,
saying?
absolutely.
Um, Now, the only thing I don't have a problem with is when government offices decide to take the flag down. You see what I'm saying? I don't really have a problem with that because the government officers are representing the community as a whole. So you got to stay neutral in there somewhere. So when my blue line stickers and stuff like that are on my personal stuff, on my
Yeah,
personal property, right?
yeah.
So if I'm out and about in uniform doing the job, if my department comes up and say we don't want you to wear a blue line mask or whatever it may be that's visible to the public, I can understand it. I might not like it, but I can understand that because we are neutral and I'm not trying to offend the people that I serve. You see what I'm saying? But that don't mean I don't support the blue line flag or support police, obviously, right?
Like, see,
Um,
I've been wearing this Blue Lives Matter bracelet for a long time. My wife got it for me several years ago. Never took it off,
mm,
and still this day I wear it. Don't hide it, right? Like I said, to me, I get that. Well, we never had that problem. Uh, in fact, I see talking to some of the troopers that's out there now. I mean, they have their mask and it says state police on it. But it was never an issue for us. Like, hey, you can't have that. You can't wear that Blue Lives Matter flag on you. We didn't have the type of uniforms anywhere where you could put patches and stuff all over you. But
we
it
don't
was
either. We didn't either have, but every once in a while you would see somebody might have a blue line mask when we were wearing masks or something like that. Joe makes a good point. Says then all flags must come down because some people can be offended. Yeah, I
yeah.
see what you're saying. I do see what you're saying, Joe. Yeah, all flags probably should come down. If you had that thought process, that's exactly. I mean, how else can you say that?
Well,
Um,
like you did say, Mike. I mean, the government agencies should stay neutral, even though we know the true meaning behind it, to alleviate controversy. Because some people could freak out when you walk up and you got the Blue Lives Matter uh, face mask on, or you wearing some type of emblem on your uniform or whatever. They. But I think the majority of people don't have a negative reaction for it. I can only speak for myself and the people that I have encountered.
you mean
Joe
throughout the country
may
as a
be
whole?
different for you, Joe, and may be different for anybody else. Um, but it's been my experience with nobody's really took a big offense to it. Now I will say, my wife, she used to wear one too, but she took it off because she would always get dirty looks, and I understand because My wife is white, and that probably was and where she used to work at that time. I think she would work with a lot of black women or black folks, and they kind of looked at her, as if she
There's a
was
side eye.
probably They labeled her as being a racist or
Mhm.
didn't like that because she supported the police, right? And if you know my wife, that's far from the truth, right? So I get it, but departments want to be neutral.
And like I say, no matter what we say about the blue line flag, again, the blue line has been around way before Black Lives Matter. Has been around for a very long time. It just was put on a flag now. And some people will say, but it was in response to Black Lives Matter. That's what some people have a problem with. You know what I'm saying? You know what? Dare I say, Corey? Um, I almost don't even have a problem with the fact that people feel it was in response to Black Lives Matter, because as I just said, when Black Lives Matter came out, police were demonized. It didn't matter if he was a good cop or not. That police were demonized all across the country, and people just simply didn't want to support police to the point where they wanted the good cops to feel ashamed of being cops themselves. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And I don't support that. I didn't support that. Whatever Black Lives Matter's intentions were as far as saying they support good police, that's not what it showed. That's not what ended up happening. Now Black Lives Matter got a lot of elements that makes that organization look bad. You see what I'm saying? They got some elements that makes that organization look good, but
yeah,
I'm not here to bash organizations. I'm not here to bash Black Lives Matter, whether I support it or not. Do I definitely support the sentiment of Black Lives Matter? Sure, of course, right? Um, but I also am a strong supporter of police. Obviously, I was a police for 20 plus years. You see what I'm saying? So I know what police go through and what they have to deal with on a regular basis, and to have to do that in spite of being demonized, is tough for police. And that's why I think it's important that folks show support to the police. No, police, we don't support bad cops just like anybody else. Of course not. You know what I'm saying? Um, but I am proud to have been a police officer, and like I said before, I'll never allow someone to try to make me feel ashamed for being a black man that was a police officer. You see what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah. And Joe makes a good point too. And he says, and we were assaulted, attacked, and ambushed because of it. BLM wasn't true. And again, we're not trying to bash other organizations, although Mike and I would have total different opinions on Black Lives Matter. I'm not here to talk about the Black Lives Matter flag because that's a whole nother episode, and I don't think anybody wants to hear what I have to say about it. Of course,
I
yes,
hear
I
you.
am a
I
black
hear
man,
you.
but again, I'm not even gonna go down that rabbit hole. Uh, but like we said earlier, for me, it's all about who I represent, what I stand for as a black man here in America, uh, as a family man, and as a Christian man. I stand for a lot of principles, and I stand to protect my fellow Americans. And notice I said Americans. So to me, I don't care what color you are. You are my brother. You are my sister. And I swore an oath to protect and serve the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Virginia. That's who I am. That's who I did. And there's a lot of men and women out there that wear that uniform and feel that exact same way. It's just, if you want to know who I'm really upset with, I'm more upset with the media because the media is the one that's spinning this to make you feel as though, yeah, the police are out here hunting down uh, uh, blacks every day. Like and that Mike right there really angered me and really made it hard to put that uniform on every day and going out there. And like Joe said, you're going out here and you may be you're now a target. You could be
Yeah.
set
Think
up in an ambush.
and think about what Joe said here. We were assaulted, attacked, and ambushed not because we were brutal cops. We were assaulted, attacked, and ambushed simply because we were cops. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Not because we were doing something wrong or doing something brutal or doing something, that we were, doing something bad. We were attacked because we were just wearing the uniform. We represented police.
Right.
Okay. Now,
Right.
if you're the type that you want to go out and you don't support police like that, well, this ain't the show for you. You know what I'm saying? But if it ain't no secret, we certainly are strong supporters of police. But one thing what you can count on us in doing on this channel, on this Brothers-In-Law show, is anything we tell you with any situations that we see, any police contacts, any police incidents that we see, any calls for service that we review on this show, we will always give you an honest answer of what we would do in that situation. And it ain't got nothing to do with race. Okay. That blue line flag in Corey and I's mind has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with the blue line, police, support of police, those have honored that have fallen, and those that are continuing to serve. You know,
Yeah.
uh, because it's dangerous out there, and we don't want to make it any more dangerous than it is by
Well,
trying to promote something that isn't quite what it is.
and keep in mind too, Mike. I mean, we are the community, right? It's not like police officers are imported from somewhere else uh, on this planet. Excuse me. We are the community. When we go 1042 or mark off duty, we're going home to our families in the same neighborhoods. Some of our people that we service live in. So I mean, it's about unity. It's about coming together. I mean, we're in tough times right now as it is as Americans, right? It's a lot of crap going on, and we need to come together and unify as one, as American citizens. Put color aside, put you know flags aside, and let's just be Americans. Let's be Americans and let's just support one another. Treat everyone as you want to be treated yourself. And I guarantee you, we can turn things around. But at the end of the day, it's my job as law enforcement. If I see something wrong, I have to do my duty. What you, the citizens, are paying the officers to do their job. If not, then you need to come up with something else better. Do you want police or you don't? And this whole, defund the police and all that, that's another area I have a problem with too. Okay, well, how you gonna do policing it? Right?
Yeah.
You,
But if anything, you don't take stuff, you don't take training away from police. You don't take equipment away from police. You
right.
add it to
You
police
gotta
so
add
that
it.
they can do the job better. You know what I'm saying? Now that blue line, as I said before, that blue represents police, but some people may have seen a red line or green line. The red line is for fire department. Okay, it's supported fire, and the green line, if I'm not mistaken, is dispatchers, first responders like that.
Which one?
The green one. Some of them you see, or is that military? The green line support on a
Ooh.
flag. I can't. We sorry, folks. I didn't do my research on the green line.
If you know, well, no, Mike. If you know what the green line, then green line is for. Hey, put it in the comments and let us know.
Yeah, definitely.
Because everyone, and I know fire department, theirs is red, right?
Right.
Definitely support the fire department, right? Your first responders, right? The men and women that go running into the burning building to rescue the families inside these burning buildings, right? It's the same thing, right? We gotta show respect and honor those too. J Command 1456 says green is for the troops. Okay,
Okay. So green is for the
green
troops.
for
All
the
right.
troops. All right, thanks, man. Appreciate that. And thank you for joining us tonight. So yeah, there you go. So it's about support for everybody. Everybody that's every man and woman that puts that uniform on to put their life on the line for somebody that they don't know. That's what it's all about. It's not about hatred. It's not about being against one race or the other. It's about
No,
serving.
no, it's all about police and honoring them and like you say, serving and honoring the officers that are on the street. Because, like I say, no matter how you feel about them, no matter how you feel about police, they
Yeah.
still got to go out and do the job. They still got to go out and arrest you when they need to. They still got to go out and put their hands on you, on folks. That'll never stop. Police will always have to get into situations where they got to put their hands on somebody, and it ain't gonna be nice. Okay, it usually isn't, because they have to use force. And nowadays, Corey, it just seems like every use of force with police, you got to worry about being criminally charged now. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
now you got that added stress. Now, if it's abuse or brutal or overboard, okay, I'm fine with that, right?
And
If
that's
that
what we're
needs to
here
be
for.
corrected, that's right. If that needs to be corrected, let's correct that. Okay.
Yeah.
Bad cops, obviously, let's correct that. Okay. In my 20 plus years, I've never seen any police brutality. However, the way things are today, Corey, there may have been some incidents that I've seen or wasn't involved with that some citizens may look at that as extreme. But
Hmm.
as a police officer, with the training and experience that I have, I would not have looked at that as extreme or brutal or whatever word you want to use. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Hmm.
It's just tough being a police
Let
officer
me
today,
ask you
man.
this, Mike. Let me
Go ahead.
ask you this. Uh, would you still have this same feeling about police if you never became a police officer?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. Based on the media and everything that you see that way, I don't know if I would have the same feeling. Would I support police as a whole? Yeah, I think I would still support police as a whole, but I might have a little bit more of a jaded stance to where I would feel that, oh, most police officers are out there putting their hands on folks unnecessarily or something, because of what you see in the media. I wouldn't have had any experience or inside knowledge of how police officers operate. Now that I
Yeah.
do, that has a strong influence on how I feel about police, because I have an inside knowledge now, an inside view of what they do and why they do it. We can talk about a police action with some professionalism and some technical insight and some tactical insight, a great deal. You know what I'm saying? Because we've done that. We've responded to that kind of call, or we've handled something similar to that. You know,
Yeah.
so that's a good question. What about you?
Yeah, before I answer, J Commands 1456 said that the actual green stripe is for federal law enforcement and border patrol. Okay,
Okay.
but I know law enforcement. I'm not law. I know military has one too. What does
Hey,
anybody
Tom.
know what color that is? And let us know in the chat. For me, uh be honest with you, Mike. I don't know. I don't know. That's I but what I will say is that one thing it has done is opened my eyes to all that a police officer has to go through on a day-to-day basis. Um, Now, having said that, uh, I probably wouldn't think that they were out gunning blacks down, or I mean,
Well, I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought
I
that either.
probably would have had some a smidget of negativity towards them, but probably not much, and that would just be because I didn't know what they go through on a day to day. I didn't know law like I know now. I didn't know how really the court system works. So being in law enforcement has given me more of appreciation for law enforcement and first responders and the sacrifices and the things that they have to go through day in and day out. So I'll say that.
Think of it this way. I mean, you know, for a patrol officer, particularly, even if you have what 5 calls for service throughout your whole shift, the stress comes from the anticipation of the next call. You are
Hmm.
in a constant state of stress because you are anticipating what the next call is going to be because you don't really know, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, Luckily, when you're fortunate and lucky, your shift will go with no excitement. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you are unfortunate, depending on how you look at it, you could end up having to shoot somebody, right?
Yeah.
Um, Nowadays, you get into a shooting, it just seems like a whole different level that you have to be concerned with, and it's everybody, citizens, second guessing what you did. You know, are you going to be criminally charged with something? Even if most of the time, a police shooting is righteous, right? But if someone else outside of law enforcement doesn't think so, right? You can have that stress of, am I going to be criminally charged with it now? Or
Right.
you get into a scuffle with somebody and they end up dying on you in the ambulance or something, or they end up dying on you in the hospital. And guess what? Now you wondering if they're gonna say you had something to do, or you were the cause of that person dying because you had to fight with him, or you had to, wrestle him or pin him on the ground or something.
Right.
There's just so many extra things now that officers have to have on their minds, which just adds to the stress,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So I mean, there's just so many reasons to support police and the jobs that they do for us. That's all. And I ain't tooting my own horn or nothing. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? We need police, and of course, we're strong supporters.
And I get why there are people, particularly some blacks, that have lost loved ones at the hands of police, and why there may be some animosity there. And I mean, policing is not pretty. You've heard Mike and I say on this show all the time. Policing is not pretty. It's not Hollywood, right? You're not going to get shot in the leg. Excuse me. That's not how we're trained to shoot. So policing is not pretty. When you can go to get those handcuffs put on you, man, we love for it to be pretty. We love for it to be uh,
Absolutely.
straight textbook, but we know that's not the reality. We know there's somebody that's going to what we call buck, basically what means resist arrest, and we had to go hands on because they don't want to go back to jail for whatever reason, right? So it's not pretty. I mean, but they have to. I think Zach made a comment here a few seconds ago about here it is. I put it up. He says, a good social program that should be funded, and in order to get a license, and I'm assuming a gun license or license certified to be a police officer,
Or
you have
driver's license. That's what it
driver's
is. Right?
license. you
Uh-huh.
should have to do it. I got you.
Uh-huh.
Ride with an officer for a day and see it through their lens. Yeah,
Hey,
uh,
that's a good idea.
it's a good idea. I mean, and this is why another reason why we do the show to have conversations like this. So hopefully we inspire somebody to take an idea like that and run with it. This is how we change things. This is how we make a difference within our communities, right? It starts with us, we the people, right? It's the reason why the Constitution starts out we the people, right? We change things ourselves. We don't leave it to the upper echelon because we already know what they're all about. So this is how we do it. And so I just lost my train of
No, no.
thought.
You know what? And you also can't screen police are evil if if you're not having, you have no interaction with the police in your community. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Try to get to know one police officer in your community. Know his name or her name. Know what they're about and what
Yeah.
area they. If you see them, flag them down. Have a conversation with them. As long as they're not, tied up or on the way and handling some call for service, which they'll let you know. Flag them down. Hey, how you doing? My name's such and such. and they'll talk to you like Joe was
Oh,
saying. Police officers are passionate about their job, you know,
yeah,
and yeah, there is real evil out there. Definitely, there are things that police officers might be dealing with that day that the average citizen has no idea that, oh, that happened today in
yeah,
this city.
yeah,
Really? You
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because their day-to-day operation is nothing compared to what an officer might have to deal with. This might have happened in your city and you don't even know about it. Check,
yeah,
you know what? One good thing I tell people to do is a lot of cities on their city website, they have a police log of what calls for service were going on that day in their city. Check out the police log so you can see for yourself what kind of calls for service they might have had. Now they might not have every call for service on those logs that they put on those sites sometimes, but sometimes they have enough, right? And check it out. But again, the blue line flag, I know we beat this in the bush, but the
yeah.
blue line flag is not a racist symbol. Corey and I would not be supporting it if it was. Okay, it is strictly a support for police, and that's it. Now, have you seen the blue line flag in controversial events or protests or by people? Yeah, you
Yeah.
have. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, for instance, the Capitol riots and stuff. You saw the blue line flag flying with other stuff, and yeah, I didn't like that either. You know what I'm saying? Because although they might have been showing their support for police, but they were showing support for other things as well that I might not have agreed with. But you can't use that and say, "See, I told you the blue line flag was racist." You can't use that. You see what I'm
Well,
saying?
again, that's all symbolism.
Right,
It's all about who's carrying that flag for that event,
right.
right? And that's why I go back to my earlier point about the Confederate flag, because growing up my whole life, I was exactly what I thought it was until I actually met people in the military that had the flag, and I actually got to know them and understood for them what it meant. Yeah, can a Klan member still have
I
it?
see what you're
Absolutely. Can
saying.
he
You
still?
mean for
Yeah,
I see what you're saying. Now that's a whole nother topic.
yeah.
But I see what you're saying about the Confederate flag as far as the people that you know
Well, I
who
tell you like this:
support that.
I don't jump to conclusions anymore until I learn first to get to know who that person is.
Okay,
Then
I can accept
then
that.
then then I'll make a judgment. Just because I see it, I don't automatically equate you with that group.
Racism.
Right. I don't
Okay,
automatically
I see what you're saying. I see what you're
I
saying.
don't equate.
You don't
Just like if
automatically equate them to being
just
racist.
like you seeing the police flag at the January 16th, you can't equate them with that until you get to know, okay, who's that person carrying that flag? What are they about? We're gonna assume. But again, back to topic, the thin blue line flag. It's again the men and women who are the last line of defense before you have total anarchy. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that is what it boils down to. Blue lines, the separation between chaos and order.
Yeah,
Okay. Uh,
yeah,
we all support the flag, obviously. Okay, nothing different. The blue line is just on the flags now. You know
yeah.
that's one version.
Well, yeah,
Nothing
and to Joe's point, that's what he's saying here. I believe that it didn't represent us.
right.
Uh,
When you saw, yeah, I see what
right,
you're saying.
right,
That's right.
and, and that's how I and that's another thing that I mean, police being a police officer and being in the military has just changed my mindset on a lot of things. How I look at things differently from a wider lens, and not being so quick to rush to judgment. I
That's
think
what life experience gets you, right?
right, and especially being law enforcement, and I would say probably so. That's what helped me with a lot of these police involved shootings. It's taught me, okay, wait. Just like we tell our viewers to wait. Let's see what happens. Right? Let's see what happens before
and
we start. Before we jump the gun and say, "Yep, that's just totally racism." Is this that the black white police officer shoots another black just because he black? No, that's not what happened. Let's see. And I have a friend of
And
mine.
Matthew Marks makes a good comment. Citizens are dealing with much more before they call the police. Police are the last line of help. Yeah, I would agree with that. If you have to call the police, that's because the situation has already gotten out of control,
Yeah.
or it's on the verge of getting out of control. So you
So
need
you,
police to come in and do something. So
yeah,
police ain't going nowhere. Police still have to do their jobs, no matter how you feel about them. You know,
yeah,
there's still going to be police shootings as long as there's going to be criminals who create a circumstance where a police shooting has to occur. You
yep,
know, um, uh, and you just gotta. I can empathize and support that type of mentality of a police officer that has to go out and do that job and be as careful as they can, while as tactful as they can, but as effective as they can. You know,
mm-hmm.
and if that means that you got to go out and handle business, you got to go out and handle business. That's what you are supposed to do. That's
That's
what you
what
get
you
paid to
supposed.
do.
Time
You
to go
know,
to work. Time
one saying they used to say up Corey all the time for cops: "It ain't what you do, is what you might have to do."
is what. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
All right. So hey, like, share, and subscribe to us. If you like the
joining us.
content of this video, let us know what you think about the thin blue line. Your personal thoughts and feelings. Leave us a comment below if you haven't done so already. And we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. We don't want to beat this horse too bad, but you know where Mike and I stand now about the thin blue line flag. And we enjoyed conversation with you all. Thank you all for uh, your comments, and thank you all for your support. Uh, oh, hold on, I gotta answer this. This
Oh,
is
you
my
you
moment.
better you better answer that last
Yeah.
question.
Does the blue ball have the same meaning as the blue flag? I have. It doesn't have the same meaning. I think it just it was used for a time period to just show support for police. There's no specific meaning tied to it. It's just showing your support for police during that particular time. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of homes with the blue light
The
bulb
blue
anymore.
ball.
Yeah, but it was just showing support for police. I think during the height of when a lot of these riots and everything were going on. So yeah, but
and
good
and,
question.
and also, Miss Taylor, just the color blue itself, um, traditionally is a support of police. Police wear a lot of police wear blue uniforms. Things like that. So they might have been just showing the bulb because of the color. The color blue.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, yeah.
But thank you all. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll be back next week with another video. Remember to stay calm, comply, answer questions, listen, and
Listen and
move
move
on.
on. Peace.
Peace.